new parents here, right? So let me share this. Let me invite Ananya. Are you there?
Yeah, I am there.
Perfect. So now what I want all of you to do is let's hear out Ananya. That how it felt when. So Ananya, do you want to quickly tell about yourself? And then quickly about yourself and how old is Rugved?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
what age he got diagnosis?
Yeah. One minute, I'll check my video. Yeah. So I'm basically from Pune, and my son is now going to be 7 years old in July. We received his diagnosis exactly when he was 1 year, 8 months old. Uh, Sarika, should I continue or you want to say
No,
something?
you continue. You continue.
Okay.
So tell me, okay, so you introduce about Rugved, right? Now, Ananya, I have a question for you. How did it feel for you? Okay, and tell me something about your background. What do you do?
Yeah. I am trained in MD homeopathy with specialization in psychiatry, and I've been practicing since 10 years as a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist in Pune. So during pregnancy, of course, I was on sabbatical, and post his autism diagnosis, I am partially on a sabbatical. So I schedule all my practice as per his schedule. So that is what I do. I'm attached for 2-3 year
Right,
psychiatric setups.
right. So Ananya, if I want to sum up for a common man, you were a doctor,
Yeah.
Ayurvedic, right? Or homeopathic?
Homeopathic with
Homeopathic
psychiatry
doctor.
specialization.
And your specialization is psychiatry, which is
Yeah.
related to brain, mind. And you've been studying a lot about emotions and everything, right? Now,
Yeah.
Ananya, I have a question. When you, in spite of coming from a very informed field, not like me, who was an IT professional and psychiatry I was clueless with it. Now, Ananya, what was your experience when you got diagnosis for Rugved?
Yeah, so I'll just take 2 minutes to give the background because there is something that happened with Rugved even before autism, which matters over here to understand the emotional state. So when he was 3 months old, he had a perfectly normal delivery. I mean, the child was healthy and all. But at the age of 3 months, he suddenly started with continuous fever and lot of irritability. एंड इनिशियली 8 दिन हो गए 10 दिन हो गए वायरल फीवर है छोड़ के ट्रीटमेंट हो गया बट 1 महीना हो गया उसका फीवर इरिटेबिलिटी जा नहीं रहा था बाय द टाइम ही वाज 4 months old we had been already running around hospitals and doctors and everything and later on what happened is that we had to even get admitted doctors told us that be prepared it could be even cancer or something like that and his fever continued. All his milestones were stagnant. His hemoglobin had dropped to 5, where he was almost needing blood transfusion at the age of 6 months. Bone marrow biopsy, lumbar puncture. I have a record of around 80 to 60 blood test investigations done on him, apart from all of that. So, his entire developmental period from the age of 3 months to almost 9 months till we got the diagnosis, which was a rare illness called as Cappi's disease all his milestones and development was stagnated completely मतलब वो दिन में सिर्फ 3-4 घंटा जग के रहता था बाकी पूरा टाइम वो सोते रहता था half of the times we were in and out of the hospital for those 6 months now what happened we got the diagnosis and fortunately it was a very manageable condition and as we started medications as his hemoglobin started to improve and all of that he was fairly doing okay but again he was very weak he would sleep for almost 18 hours a day awake only for 4
Right,
hours so हमारे
right.
end से ना I was very clear कि कुछ तो गड़बड़ होगा आगे जाके because milestones भी उसने 1 साल बाद standing sitting everything started very fast
Right.
fortunately physical milestones were fine but by the time he reached around 1.5 years of age I could see uske language and social milestones were absolutely not picking up and
Right.
I started to see some signs of that repeated behaviors and playing with a toy only spinning the wheels of a car and
Right.
that's where something kuch khatka mujhko and
Right.
I once again took him to the and somewhere being a professional myself I hope that it is not because I could sense that probably am I looking at autism thing but
Right.
because मैं उसके लिए prepared नहीं था I was prepared कि development में ऊपर नीचे होने वाला है I was not
Right.
prepared for
Ananya,
autism
I like to stop you here for a second.
yeah
My dear parents, why I stopped Ananya here for a second? Can you see her background comes from psychiatry? She is a mental health professional plus a doctor. But what is the biggest thing she said? Sab ho. Autism na ho. Developmental delay bhi chalega. So even that level, you're not prepared for autism. So if you are somebody who's not from a medical background, and can you imagine how it would be for you all to getting the diagnosis? So it's absolutely normal. So Ananya, if I ask you, when you got the diagnosis, as you said, you were not looking for autism, and when you got the diagnosis of autism, what was the first thing you experienced?
Severe anger. I was angry totally because I was like कि अभी अभी हम लोग एक ट्रॉमा से बाहर निकले हैं and अभी अगर ये ऑटिज्म का डायग्नोसिस है तो sometimes being a medical professional it's boon for the child but bane for me as a mother because I could see ये लंबा चलेगा. It is not going to be
Right.
like 4-7 महीने हमने कैफीज को झेल लिया but ये 7 महीने के आगे की बात नहीं है. This is going to be probably for the lifetime. I was angry. एक हो गया अभी हम लोग उससे निकले नहीं and why this now? I just couldn't take it कि अभी क्या गलत हो गया ऐसा क्या हो गया कि पहले तो कैफीज की हुआ कैफीज की वजह से शायद ये गड़बड़ हुआ है तो ये सब हुआ क्यों so that anger and then that severe disappointment with my own destiny because being a doctor being a mental health professional for somebody who connects with people so well otherwise and then having a child whom that connecting with people itself is going to be a major challenge for him so all that frustration and anger was so severe and I remember going to asking my pediatrician sir in Mumbai, whom I trust a lot, Dr. Ashish Kelkar from Sion, की sir काय होणार पुढे म्हणजे although I know as a mother, but I was like, hey, sir, do you really
फिर भी
think
ना,
it is
you
autism? Do you
wanted
really think it is autism?
somebody to just say कि नहीं अनन्या सब ठीक हो जाएगा,
ठीक
don't worry.
exactly looking for
You knew
those words.
everything, but you were just hoping कि अरे सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा,
Yeah.
somebody to say that.
I would even ask him कि बहुत सिवियर होने वाला है क्या कितना मॉडरेट होगा कितना माइल्ड होगा जस्ट टू एंड समवेयर आई वाज होपिंग कि वो कभी तो बोले कि नहीं सगळं ठीकच होणार आहे तो फक्त थेरपी स्टार्ट कर बट ही इज नो प्रोफेशनल वी नो फॉर दैट मैटर दैट नोबडी इज गोइंग टू गिव अस दैट आंसर not just him I started to seek out professions of course we had a basic assessment MChat and जिससे पता चला moderate है then we had to go for detailed assessment जिसके लिए appointment मिल गए but then therapy start करना था we were not going to wait for another 2-3 months for all the assessments to happen and we started therapy but even with the therapist initially I had so much of resistance when they would ask questions कि वो ये करता है क्या वो करता है क्या so I was like नहीं करता है वैसे तो करता है whereas deep down I know why am I answering just to satisfy myself when I knew कि नहीं कर रहा है
Right.
I should
Ananya,
be honest नहीं कर रहा
I
है
want you to stop here again.
yeah
Parents, how many of you are connecting with Ananya's journey? And can you see how openly she is sharing that when the therapist questioned her कि Rugved ये करता है, it was not about Rugved. It was about her. Though she knew deep down in her heart that Rugved doesn't perform the way, she's portraying it, but she was having a facade just saying that, he does that just because in her mind, she thinks that she's doing a good job as a mother. Now, why I invited Ananya, because she is from the medical fraternity. She knows it all. You heard in her conversation, right? She knew that nothing can be done about autism. But she was still hoping that the pediatrician says that, "Nahi, Ananya, don't worry, sab theek ho jayega." Sorry, Ananya, continue from there. So you
so
were sharing that
initially
you were
yeah so all that
cross with the therapist.
denial थोड़ा सा कि नहीं नहीं वो तो उतना कर लेता है then they would ask me out of 10 times कितनी बार करता है then I was like no I have to be honest because therapy अगर मुझे करानी है तो they must understand deficits clearly so there used to be that conflict between the mother and professional every time I would give those answers to the my therapist out there but that continued and the worst part that happened was later on although that I could bring on my rationality at least during therapies कि अच्छा हाँ no I'll be honest with them and all that anger and that phase was so bad that I did not realize when I fell into depression like I started stress eating I started to stay awake because there was as it is I had a past trauma of Caffey's and his hospitalization and then this one abhi aage kya hoga and I would not sleep. I would binge watch, I would binge eat, because that was the only thing at that moment what I felt that I could control. कि if I'm feeling low, चलो एक पूरा Cadbury का बार उठा के खा लो, and I would get some dopamine for me to settle down. And I did not realize that जैसे मैंने बच्चे की therapy शुरू कर दी मेरे, I should have seeked somebody to help me out to process my own anger and frustration. Even there was denial at that point कि नहीं नहीं ठीक है, गुस्सा तो आएगा ही ना, उसके लिए भी क्या, वो तो रहेगा कुछ दिन, doesn't matter. I did not sense that I have to take care of myself as well, my mental and physical health. And this is not right. Being a mental health professional back then, I was so deep down that I put on, in those 7 to 8 months since his diagnosis and we started therapies, I put on almost 18 kgs in seven
Oh
to eight
my
months.
God.
And of course I was all alone. Unfortunately, both my parents and in-laws, they said कि you're making things in mind, that common thing that runs in Indian culture at least कि हाँ इसके फादर भी तो बोल नहीं रहे थे 3 साल तक, तो ये बोलेगा. So my parents
Yes.
and my in-laws were like, no, you're just making things in your mind.
Yes,
And
we're not
because
believing you, right? They're saying you're making it up.
exactly,
And Ananya, do you think they were also in denial that how dare you
absolutely,
make
absolutely,
my, ghar ka chirag ko
absolutely.
make him wrong and say he has some
Yeah,
disability?
and you are taking him to a psychiatrist and psychotherapist, getting assessed. What are you doing? In fact, to be honest, my mother-in-law is a physiotherapist from Nair Hospital, and yeah, so she herself said कि जर डॉक्टरांनी मला सांगितलं, if doctor says की ऋग्वेद को problem है, only then I will accept it. So I
Too
was
much
like,
of denial.
who
See?
am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Parents, we are
I
not looking
literally,
at what is right or wrong. Okay. I don't want you all to sit and judge what is right and wrong. Why Ananya is sharing from her life to see the impact of denial. How strong is denial? Imagine a physiotherapist not believing the diagnosis given by a pediatrician, saying that unless and until I hear it from the doctor, I'm not going to believe it. That kind of shock it brings. Yes, Ananya. So now when things started changing between you and Rugved, because what I have seen, you work beautifully with Rugved.
so I think it took me almost 7, 8 months to realize that I was going through depression and I need something. The first thing I did, I went to a psychiatrist. I started my antidepressants. I took a few sessions of therapy to help process my own emotions, to come to terms with the fact that okay, autism. Because what should happen now? The another reason for my depression was, when we take such small children for OT and speech therapy, children cry a lot.
Hmm.
They are never
Hmm.
supportive. They cry a lot. And I used
Hmm.
to feel कि कैपीज में वो इतना रोया है 8 महीने हॉस्पिटल में, मुझको उसको और नहीं रुलाना है, तो ये क्यों रो रहा है, तो रो रहा है मतलब उसको पेन है. And then it took me a while and therapist also for to explain me कि it's not because of pain, it's just that they don't want to do it, and that is why they are showing it via crying. So that every session watching him cry used to make me feel very, very low. So all these things I had to process. So I took my antidepressants, I took my therapy. I changed 2 occupational therapists in that process because of the first 2 occupational therapists couldn't explain me why
Why
they're
they are
doing
doing
what
it.
they're doing exactly, even though if he cries, why it is important. The third
Right.
occupational therapist, I want to take his name, Dr. Sarang Purane. He helped me big time to understand the whole picture in a better way. In fact, he said that let us first start OT for 3 months and then we start speech, not immediately because he's not ready
Exactly.
for speech. So
Yes.
so that along with antidepressants helped me settle down. And then I realized I need to do something more as a parent also at home, apart from home plans, because I realized उसको बहुत ज़्यादा structured चलता रहेगा therapy. मैं भी घर पे उसको बिठा के home plans लूंगी. So I need something more, and that's where I got trained myself in play therapy, which is a very indirect, non-directive mode for working with even neurotypical children.
Right.
So
So Ananya, I'd like to stop you again over here
yeah,
for people to get the clarity. So can I say that minute you had your bout of depression, you started therapies, you started taking medications, psychiatric medications, you started feeling better about it, and then you started looking for ways to help Rugved. So can I say that you were looking towards acceptance? Have you slowly started
absolutely, yes,
accepting Rugved the way he was? So
yes,
if
absolutely.
in all this cycle, Ananya, the minute you had this acceptance feeling in you, Did things change between you and Rugved? Did you see
Big
things working
time.
differently around?
Yes, big time. Because what the change that happened was that, initially when I used to take home plans at home, I was more of his therapist. कि मुझको ये करवा के लेना है चीजें. I
Yes,
started to see more like only a child with autism rather than I started to see
your
myself
son
more as a
Rugved.
therapist. Yeah. No, and then the moment the acceptance set in when I said that he's my son, I don't need to be therapist for him. Let the therapist do their job. I will just do what is needed or what is exactly told at home, and rest, if I would have, luckily his diagnosis was on mild to moderate, so if I would have had a neurotypical child, what I would have done, so let
Exactly.
me do all those things with him otherwise, silly things कि वो नहीं करेगा, वो participate नहीं करेगा, doesn't matter, मैं उसके साथ बैठ के वो चीज करूँ, तो आइसक्रीम में
Okay.
लाऊंगी तो वो नहीं खाएगा, डजेंट मैटर, बट अगर न्यूरोटिपिकल बच्चा है मेरा तो मैं उसके बाजू में बैठ के खाती ना आइसक्रीम, तो मैं वो करूंगी. सो आई स्टार्टेड टू डू other things what otherwise a neurotypical mom would have done with their children.
Can I say, Ananya, over here, that earlier you were not inclusive.
Yeah,
You became an inclusive mother.
yeah,
You
totally
yourself was looking at your child as an autistic child versus as your child,
correct,
right? You were behaving differently with him. What your mother would have done when you were little, you were not doing the same things
exactly,
because you still had something, whatever it could be, but you were
correct,
treating him like autistic. You
correct.
were not treating him the way, as you very beautifully said, that, I came out of the therapist mode and I realized he's my son. Ananya, thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope all the parents who are listening to Ananya's journey, you can see where you are exactly. Yeah. I'll just share this part of the screen which I wanted to share. Now, remember Ananya's journey, exactly what she said. And tell me if anybody has a different path. Yeah. And also try to see that if you have the similar path, where you are exactly right now. That will be like an assessment for you to see where you are in that path. Okay. So let's say Ananya said that now the first thing we know all about her background. Do you all agree that the first thing Ananya faced was shock and denial? Do you all see going through the same cycle? Yeah, you all had a similar experience, shock and denial. The next came pain and guilt. Can you see in Ananya's journey, where was pain and guilt? Anger. She was angry for everything, right? She was angry for why the diagnosis. She was angry for why, the therapists have to say so many things to her. Then came bargaining, right? Where she was hoping that I go there, probably the pediatrician would say that nahi hai, ye bolega nahi hai. That's where the bargaining started in her life. And at many places, bargaining looks like आज हम होम्योपैथी करा लेते हैं, आज हम एक्यूप्रेशर का ट्रीटमेंट दे देते हैं, आज हम ये वाला ट्रीटमेंट दे देते हैं. ये सारे पीछे क्या होता है वर्ड. सी ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, जब आपके पीछे का ये इंटेंशन होता है कि ठीक हो जाए, ठीक is cure. Is autism a disease? You cannot cure it, my dear friend. So what cycle Ananya went through and what most of the parents go through, it's pretty similar. After bargaining, what Ananya went was, see, now I made the slide before Ananya spoke, right? I did not create while she was talking. Can you see it matches with exactly Ananya's story? She went into depression. And after she came out of depression, she realized that, she tried everything. ये चलेगा क्या, वो चलेगा क्या, denial देखा, ये देखा. After depression, when she said, अब मुझे कुछ therapy लेना पड़ेगा, कुछ करना पड़ेगा, from the minute acceptance started, her life with Rugved started changing. Now, I don't know much about Ananya, but I know that she does a lot of things for parents in Pune who are in the spectrum. Rugved is still small. Rugved is 7 years old, right, Ananya? And still, Along with managing Rigved, she's supporting so many families in whichever way she can. She's attending a remedial course because not just for Rigved, but she's attending a remedial course just to get equipped enough to help parents who cannot afford therapies. So that power came only after she started accepting Rigved. Now, that is one thing, why I asked Ananya to share, because we keep on sharing in our group. Please start accepting. Please start accepting. You all were not there when we started the, conversation where Natasha, let me pin Natasha. Natasha, we know her from the group. She's been an old member of Autism Awareness Group. But if I tell you that she has 3 kids and all 3 are in the spectrum. And when we started the conversation, I asked her, Natasha, if I'm not wrong, your child is in the spectrum, right? And she said, yes, I have ranges. You can ask for it. That was her attitude. Such a positive attitude. She entered and I've always seen whenever Natasha shares her video or whatever she says, I always see so much of positivity in her videos. I sometimes try to imagine myself in her space. Like, with 3 children in autism, would I be able to do something what I do, what she does? And I really don't know what's the answer. So Natasha, hats off to you for that. Yeah, you want to add something? Go ahead, Natasha.
I just want to say, like with anything, time heals all wounds. I will just say that, because I honestly, being where I am right now, I can't expect somebody who's got a new diagnosis to just fall into the acceptance thing. It doesn't happen. We would want it, we can warn them, we can sort of try to want to save them time. But I feel it, honestly, it doesn't work. Everybody has to just walk their path. At the most, they'll know that there's like a light at the end maximum. But in the end, I don't think it's that easy. There's no shortcut.
There are no shortcuts. Exactly. So, there are no shortcuts to this. And that's why this slide is for your display. Now, see, when Dr. Ananya was sharing, she exactly went through this cycle. But my slides were already ready with exactly the same thing. And while Ananya was sharing, you can see your journey too. Now, my dear friends, as a therapist, the only point I want to bring forth is, the buck stops here. Now, it is up to you that you take 3 years to travel this journey and you take 3 months to travel this journey. Why I am saying that what Natasha said is true. Everybody has their own journey. But my dear friends, the day you reach the stage of acceptance, things will start moving for your child. So now, if your child is 4 years now, you take 3 years to accept and then you start therapies. What are you missing on? The early intervention. Versus you take your time, take help. You have these parent support groups. Talk to parents. Try to see the beauty of autism or whatever it is. Take your 3 months if you want. But when you start the therapy from 4.5 years for your child, it's a huge difference. So what I want to say that even if there is no wholehearted acceptance, at least understand that an honest therapy is something that you want. So even as Natasha said, the wound takes time to heal. Put your child on therapies, right? And then once you're putting your child on therapy, you would see changes in your child. And then probably that might also help you in accepting the way your child is, right? One thing I would like to add here is many a times what adds on people's stress is comparing the child with a child of the same age. I would like to add on here that please compare your child with your child yourself. In January, XYZ was doing this. In February, XYZ was doing this. In March, he was doing this. Now, I used to always say this to my parents. But when last week, when we had Fatima, Usaid's mother, who had joined us, she said this similar thing. She said, I have maintained a book where anything small or big Usaid does something good, I make a note in that diary. And the days when I'm low, she said, I used to go and refer to what I have written in the diaries. Even the smallest achievements that used to help me reinforce myself that Usaid can do it. Usaid can do it. You know, there will be ups and downs in your life. I'm not saying, and trust me, you guys say that your child is in the spectrum. Isn't it the life of every parent? I have a neurotypical child, but still, I have a neurotypical child, but still, when he was a fourth grader, I think, and he was given a diagnosis of an autoimmune, in spite of being a special educator, I went through the entire cycle that Ananya shared. See, for you, it is autism. For any parent, something that is not working with the child is equally stressful. It doesn't change it. Like if let's say if Jennifer says, ma'am, my son has autism, your child has autoimmune disease. What is the comparison? I totally agree there is no comparison. But for a mother or for a father or for a family, it is something which is not normal. And we all go through that same cycle. So why we shared this? For you all to understand that acceptance is the key. So tomorrow when I write a message in the group, my dear parents, acceptance is the key. Remember, this is what I mean. That the quickly we cover the journey for acceptance, or at least we go for the pretend of accepting and at least focusing on the therapies, things will start falling in place. Now, I would like to quickly invite Jennifer to share her experience with her son, Kevin. So, Jennifer.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. Actually, I have no other words to say because when Ananya ma'am was saying, I could feel myself in her place because I felt the same journey what Ananya ma'am had gone through. So nothing new to be added. Yes, only thing is, yes, same way. My son name is Kevin. He's now 8 years old, and I'm a nurse. And when I was pregnant, that time I had done my PhD. I finished my PhD, and I had a plan to be in a admin line. But when, as ma'am said, a stage comes when you really feel when your child has been diagnosed and also your dreams are being demolished, or you can say my dreams are not going to be fulfilled, and we feel very frustrated. We don't know what to do, how to go. So the same way, I took a gap of 2 years. I was planning that after my delivery, I'll go and join back for work. 2 years is a time when I came to know that Kevin was not responding to his name. He was not mingling with the kids. And I was thinking, since we are Tamil, because of the language barrier, he might be having issues. So, but there were people saying, नहीं ये कुछ क्यों उसका नाम पुकारेगा तो वो देखता नहीं है, ये क्यों अकेला अकेला खेलता है. So I, as a mother, नहीं वो ऐसे ही है कि शायद उसको लैंग्वेज समझ में नहीं आ रहा है इसलिए ऐसा है, कुछ नहीं, वो नॉर्मल है, everything. But I knew somewhere inside, no, there is something wrong with Kevin. But it took time for me to accept it and go take a perfect diagnosis for it. So 2 years onwards, he was having issues, but 2.5 years is where I felt, no, I have to find what exactly is happening, because I had put him in a play group and the play group teacher said that he sleeps anywhere. He's not responding to his name. He's not mingling with the kids. That's where I said, no, I have to take a call. मुझे अभी जाना ही है. I have to see what is the issue I am facing. And I went to a clinical psychologist directly. And, people used to say, no, you have to go to developmental pediatrician. Yeah, but I feel like clinical psychologist is also a right person who will guide you saying what your child is facing. So when I went to the clinical psychologist, my husband and my son, we went and she explained to us, about autism. I said, yes, I know somewhat, but I don't know clearly how to work on it. So she said, yes, autism spectrum your son is, and he is in moderate, and you have to start with OT. Speech we will see, because now he is a little hyper, and so we'll start with OT. And when we took it happened in 2017. And 2017 October we started with the OT, and 2018 my OT had told me to go and meet with the developmental pediatrician for exactly where is he, what is the lacking he has, where is his development is taken. Now he is of 2.5 years. Now how much years he is lacking behind? So when we went to the developmental pediatrician, the first thing what she said was, till then it was like, okay, what my OT was also saying, you do therapy, it will go on well, you need not to worry much, वो सब ठीक हो जाएगा. So again, like Ananya ma'am, कितना दिन, how much time ठीक होएगा, मतलब how much time it will take, whether years or months. So she was like, we can't predict, हर एक चाइल्ड का एक एक टाइम लगता है. मैं बोल सकती हूँ कि मेरा एक अभी बच्चा है, उसको 3 महीने में ठीक हो गया, एक साल में भी ठीक हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, बट यू हैव टू वर्क ऑन इट. So it took time for me, that period. Jab they say that it will take any time, that period to accept also took me a lot of time. I was like, no, I have to do it as soon as possible because I want him to recover from it.
So
I
Jennifer,
want,
sorry to stop you here.
yeah.
I just want to just check again. So Jennifer, what happened is once you realize, okay, this is autism and this is, then what happened? There came an urgency in you, like a जल्दी
Yeah.
जल्दी मुझे करना है, जल्दी ये ठीक हो जाए, जल्दी वो ठीक हो जाए.
Yes.
Then what did you learn from your experience, Jennifer?
Then from my experience, what I learned was, as days when my everything I was doing, and I came to know that we have to give space for the kid. You can't be thinking from your point of view कि मुझे ये करना है because I want my goals or my things to be achieved. I want him to walk in normal. Now, what my development pediatrician told, there is 1.5 year lacking behind. And I was thinking in my mind कि 1.5 year मुझे 6 महीने के अंदर कैसा भी करना है, कुछ
कैसे भी करना है, मैं कुछ भी करूं, मैं दिन रात उसके साथ थेरेपी करूंगी, वो जो बोलेंगे वो करूंगी, पर मैं वो गैप को तुरंत फिल करूंगी. Yes. What happens over there, Jennifer? Can you see? So Jennifer, it was no more Kevin's life. It was Jennifer's challenge. Jennifer wanted to prove something to the world that मैं ये करके दिखाऊंगी. But it doesn't work that way. It is Kevin's battle and Kevin will have to fight it. And what Jennifer can do, be that constant support, what she is now. Now, Jennifer, the day you had acceptance कि अच्छा ये मैं जो रेस कर रही हूँ, ये मैं भाग रही हूँ, मैं चाहती हूँ 6 महीना में हो जाए, वो नहीं हुआ, आपको बुरा लगा होगा कि you might have gone down again कि यार 6 महीना का टारगेट रखा था, फेलियर लगा होगा ना. Jennifer, you might have felt like a failure. Yes. Not a good mom, I'm not worth it, I can't do things for Kevin, right? Somewhere you went like in a kind of a low emotions for yourself. Now, gradually, when you saw things working with Kevin, when did you exactly see things working with Kevin? Do you think when we showed this cycle, do you think when you went to that acceptance part, कि अब ये ऐसा ही रहने वाला है, Kevin अपने ही पेस से सीखेगा? When you accepted that, do you think that was the time where you felt better? And after that, did you think that Kevin started performing better? Yes, it was in 2019, again in the month of October, when I saw, I was just looking one day at Kevin, and he was just looking at me, and I've never, till then he was he was a very hyper kid. If I leave his hand, he'll run anywhere. So I remember he is looking at me and he's just smiling and came and hugged me. So that is the period on 2019 October. I remember I said, what a bad mom I was, where I used to force him for everything. To be someone else. You were forcing him to be somebody else, right? Yes. You wanted him to be exactly like the neurotypical child in your neighborhood. Yes. And what did we forget? And it's not your fault. Parents, what did Jennifer forget over there? What was Ananya's expectation? He is not normal like the other neurotypical children. And that's what you parents feel. But the day Jennifer saw his beauty, what did she feel? क्या force कर रही थी मैं यार केविन को? ये तो कुछ अलग ही है. मैं क्यों इसको कुछ और बनाना चाह रही थी? And Jennifer, how do you feel about Kevin now?
I feel, he's a gift, as Natasha ma'am said, it's an angel, it's a gift from God given to us. And we should be proud mothers, because even when COVID started, because 2019, when COVID started, that time also I was not negative. I thought this is a period again, I'm going to enjoy with my son more. I'm going to learn more. Though therapies are not going to happen during that COVID period, it doesn't matter, but I going to enjoy the time with him. And tremendous change happened during the COVID period because of my acceptance and positivity. I took it in that way. So I would say
Yeah,
yes.
acceptance and positivity. And I would like to what Jennifer is, this is what I tell my parents. आप फ्यूचर में रहते हो, मेरा बच्चा 4 साल के बाद क्या करेगा, उसके स्ट्रेस में you're not enjoying his present. Is he going to be a 3-year-old again? Is it going to be a 3 or 2 month again? Can you lift him the way you can lift right now and cuddle when he's 6 years old? You can't do that. Just because you have created a future where you have a guideline कि अच्छा ये मेरा बच्चा में ये गैप है, ये इतने साल में उसको ये वाले न्यूरोटिपिकल के साथ मैच हो जाना चाहिए, वो फ्यूचर कैसा दिखेगा उसके लिए प्रेजेंट में you do not enjoy his childhood. He's not going to be a child anymore. He is also growing. Physically, he's growing. Emotionally, he's growing. Enjoy the childhood. Look at them beyond their diagnosis. That's what Jennifer and Ananya's sharing told us. That look beyond their diagnosis. Diagnosis is just a label. I have 3 sisters. I'm the only one who's wearing glasses from the age from 5th grade. My mother didn't treat me differently. That ये देखो चश्मे वाली बेटी, बाकी दोनों को तो नहीं है. I was accepted the way I am. Similarly, don't look at your child. Look at your child first. Don't look at the diagnosis first. Enjoy. I'm telling you, I tell to parents in your culture, like I am from North India, I am a Bihari. In my culture, when everybody comes, we have to touch their feet. Just because my child has autism, I will not keep him away from that. I will make him touch everybody's feet because that is what my culture demands. That is what I would have demanded from my neurotypical child. We clean up our plates after we are done eating. I would demand the same from my autistic child. Remember, inclusion starts from you. The day Dr. Ananya said that, I was no more a therapist. I became a mother. Why can't I sit next to him and eat an ice cream? The day she became a mother, she started enjoying. So my dear parents, I want to invite, it's tough. It's tough. I'm not saying it's not tough. Jennifer has just shared her journey, but she's been with us for 2 years in that group. We have seen her days, how tough it was for her. One of the biggest achievements she shared just this summer, she took Kevin in a plane to her native place. And Kevin behaved so beautifully in the entire journey. When she shared that in the group, we all were so happy for Jennifer. So it's not that when Dr. Ananya and Jennifer says that this is what is happening now, they had a smooth journey. No, they equally had a bumpy ride. Imagine for Natasha. Imagine she taking 3 kids for shopping anywhere, just a supermarket. So everybody has a bumpy ride. I had a bumpy ride. Though my child is neurotypical, we all have our bumpy ride. And that's what parenthood is about. Ask your parents and they'll tell you, kitni raat mujhe sone nahi diya. Unke nazar mein wo bumpy ride hai unke liye. So for every parent, the journey is a bumpy ride. But we have to look at our child beyond the diagnosis. They are your blood. They are not a diagnosis. Accept them the way they are. And then you will start loving their differences. This Rugved had just come on the screen. I got an opportunity to talk to him in one of the trainings. He likes to hear me talk. That's what, I've never met him in person. He likes to hear me talk. So once I got an opportunity to talk to him because he had taken Ananya's headphones and he wanted to talk. We have never met in person, but we connected so well. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to share. I did not want to go on all the, nitty-gritties of autism, like what is cognitive, what is behavior. See, that access you will get anywhere. What I want you all to take is the attitude of helping your child grow. And that attitude is something that will, you know what? It will bring speed to your child's progress. Right? So on that note, I will like to end today's session. It's 5:10. Yeah. If anybody has any question, I will still keep the Understanding Autism group active. You can ask your questions on that, share your views on that. We all will be ready to listen, right? So on that note, can we all wish each other a happy evening, and can we end the session? Yeah.
Yeah,
Frenya?
sure, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so
Frenya,
much, Sarika, for this session.
Frenya, that's a sign of happiness, what I see. I know that now you're going to see your child beyond the diagnosis. And I'm so happy for you. It happens, Frenya. Being mother is not easy. It's challenging for everybody. Ask the parents who have neurotypical kids. You have neurotypical kids, right? Was that not difficult for you as well? He's different. Your child is different. Understand, he's a different personality. Now you have to understand him. And the minute you understand him, Frenya, a beautiful world will open up for you. Yeah. So I wish all the best to all the parents. Rashi, you've been raising your hand for a while now. Sorry, you wanted to say something, my dear friend? So I'll share a very beautiful example, okay? Rashi's son's name is Tejas and my husband's name is Tejas. And Rashi used to come to my house when I used to take home remediation. And that time it was time where it was, work from home, and my husband used to sit in the other room. And on purpose, sometimes if I wanted to, I'm a very naughty person, I wanted to say something to Tejas, I would just say, Tejas, do that. And sometimes, I would see him reacting from the room. I'm like, what? Because he's in his call and suddenly he hears the name Tejas and he used to come back. But then I used to talk to this Tejas. So where is he, Rashi? Where is Tejas? Busy?
He's right here, ma'am, and that's why I'm in mute because he can scream anytime.
Yes, yes, yes. So you've been raising your hand. You wanted to say something, Rashi?
This for homeschooling nowadays, it is much in craze on homeschooling. Everybody is talking about. So I wanted your opinion about it.
Rashi, see, homeschooling is something which is not bad. Many people do that. Yeah. I think for a homeschooling, the parent has to be very structured. If you are structured, if you follow the routine and you know that you're going to follow the routine, कि चलो एक दो दिन किया और तीसरे दिन आज मैं थोड़ा बैठ गई, आज थोड़ा lazy हो गई, that will not work. And homeschooling, if you want to do, try to get a group of similar minded people who are doing homeschooling. We also have, Prerna Kishore in our group. Okay, Rashi? Get connected with her. They have a group of homeschoolers. She'll be a better person to guide you through.
Yeah, correct. And one more thing, ma'am, as you know, my son is not autistic, but आपने जैसे सेशन के स्टार्ट में बोला कि हम सब में लिटिल न्यूरोडाइवर्सिटी है ना? We all are neurodiverse in some ways. Just autistic child are little more, and we need to, include them so that they can cope up with society. So, भूल गई मैं question क्या था? So, what is the difference between introvert? There are people who are so introvert, they don't like to socialize with society, and other people. And autistic child also,
I'll just
they
quickly
like to
answer
be
this
alone.
question, Rashi. See, people who are neurotypical and they choose to be introvert, that's their choice.
Correct.
And an autistic person, if you see the characteristics of introvert, it's not out of choice. It is something how they're wired to be. Okay,
Correct.
that's their wiring.
Okay.
Yes, Ananya?
So,
sorry.
As you know, my elder son is, we can say him is a normal child.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Rashi,
But,
that's a very different topic, but I'll just tell you, see, there are a lot of things that happens in a child's mind to decide his personality. When your elder son was born, see, when he was born, you did not say he's an introvert child. Yeah? आपने नहीं बोला, आपने नहीं बोला कि ये introvert child है. But वो introvert कैसे बना? उसने जो situations देखे, उसने जो circumstances देखे, जो उसके experiences है, that's what design our personality.
करेक्ट
तो वो उसकी पर्सनालिटी है, वो उसके एक्सपीरियंसेस से वो बना है, ये वो या जो भी बनता है इंट्रोवर्ट या एक्सट्रोवर्ट। ठीक है, अभी बाकी के अगर और आपके पास सबके पास क्वेश्चंस है, मैं आई टोल्ड यू द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑटिज्म ग्रुप इज ऑन, you can post your messages over there. I will close it in couple of days. Yes, Dr. Ananya?
Yeah, I just wanted to add quickly about the homeschooling thing. होमस्कूलिंग शायद अच्छा रहेगा, you know, because inclusive school मिले नहीं मिले, but my in a way professional as well as personal opinion is, as far as possible, if we can get a good inclusive school for our child, we should go ahead with that, because our children need lot of social exposure for the social skills to build, and unless and until homeschooling में होता है, वो भी responsibility अपने ऊपर ही आ जाएगी कि play dates arrange करवाओ, social skills को, तो lot of that part can get taken care in an inclusive, good inclusive school, if you can manage. So because school is not just about academics, we learn a lot of things in school otherwise. That is why I feel that homeschooling should be the last option अगर school ही नहीं मिल रहा है या possibly नहीं है. Because I see lot of difference with Rugved at social level just because of daycare and school.
Yes.
तो मैं कर रही थी, वो नहीं हो पा रहा था, लेकिन 3 महीने का daycare made drastic changes in it.
मैंने आपको बोला ना, वही आपको बोला अनन्या कि when I was associated with the school, I used to see that my kids do not play, but they love the company, है ना, they love the company. तो वो आप लोग देख लीजिए, ठीक है। चलो, it's 5:17. Thank you everybody for your being here. Thank you Ananya. Special thanks to Ananya. Special thanks to Jennifer. Special thanks to Natasha for sharing, you know, from your life, and it was so powerful, which we therapists can never make it. Rita, you want to say something? Okay. Okay. So can I disconnect now, everybody? Bye. Have a good evening.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Bye.